Monday night.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12, NBC 26 at 11.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, Augusta will host one of the largest and fastest Ironman races in the country. And this is an overview of the Savannah River and a bit of downtown where it will all kick off. The Augusta Sports Council says Ironman will generate over $4 million for the city. But how are stores and restaurants getting ready for the big event? Our Taylor Martin spoke with one local business on how they're preparing. And Taylor, what did they tell you?
Well, they say other than Masters Week, it's one of the busiest times of the year. From first-time runners to returning businesses, it's weeks of preparation and excitement. This weekend, nearly 8,000 people are soaking up their time in the Garden City for Ironman.
This is my first Ironman event.
It's a time people like Matthew Murphy have been training for months.
A lot of swimming, a lot of biking, a lot of running, a lot of conditioning.
With so many people flooding the streets of downtown Augusta, they're bringing big bucks to local businesses like Manny's off Broad.
We're definitely up. Definitely up. It's a big difference. So something like this, we can be 25 to 30% up over the weekend before.
According to Destination Augusta, this year's Ironman is expected to bring in $4.5 million for the city, making it Augusta's highest grossing event for the month of September.
All of us who work downtown, our businesses downtown, we love seeing something like this come to our city. It just highlights who we are, what we do. We're more than just masters. We've got a lot to offer.
For those coming in, they're just excited to get to do what they've been training for so long.
It's something that I've always aspired to do. I'm really looking forward to getting started. I'll be anxious 30 minutes before the race, and it'll be terrible until I finally hit the water. But once I hit the water, I'll be fine.
Now, tomorrow, participants will swim 1.2 miles down the Savannah River, bike 56 miles, and finish off with a 13.1-mile run throughout downtown Augusta, adding up to 70.3 miles of total racing.
Alrighty, thanks for checking in on that, Taylor. Exciting stuff tomorrow. News 12 will be at Ironman tomorrow, and we will be bringing you the latest from the competition. Now giving you a look over the Sharon Jones Amphitheater, where the first part of Ironman is set to take place. And Emily, how is the weather looking for competitors tomorrow?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about doing the Ironman, running the marathons. Not my thing. Kudos to you guys out there doing that. But if I had to pick the weather, I would pick what we're expecting tomorrow. We're going to be in those upper 50s for the overnight low, so a cool start to the morning. And we'll warm up, though, into those middle 80s by the afternoon. But something that is going to feel pretty good is those dew points. That is what contributes to our humidity levels. And these are those lower dew points, and we can expect to see that throughout the day tomorrow. So it's going to be a little bit easier to breathe out there. It's not super humid. It's not the weather you can wear, so that's definitely some good news. More good news, we're going to remain dry throughout the day tomorrow. And with this being in September, it's kind of hit or miss on if we're going to have good weather, and I really think that we couldn't have asked for anything better, Craig. It's looking pretty good tomorrow. But hey, we do have some rain in the forecast for our work week, but I'll get to that in just a little bit.
All right, thanks for the heads up, Emily. One person has now been identified from the crash that killed 2 people on Mike Pageant Highway last night. This is a photo from the scene. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office were called to Mike Pageant Highway for an accident with serious injuries just before 9:30. When deputies arrived to the scene, they say 2 cars were involved in the accident and both victims had died at the scene. County coroner says the accident was caused by one driver swerving into the opposite lane and hitting a second driver. The driver of the second car has been identified as Richard Faber from Burke County. The coroner's office is still working to identify the first driver who swerved into the other lane. And new at 11, the Richmond County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help to find this missing teen. 17-year-old Jalen Bailey was last seen on September 11th on Madison Lane. Deputies say she was last seen being picked up by an unknown person and has not been seen or heard from since. If you have any information or if you see Bailey, call the Sheriff's Office with the number on your screen. And in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, 3 moms are leading a fight for a state child luring law after an incident involving 2 of their sons shed some new light on the issue. Under South Carolina law, kidnapping is a crime and applies to when a minor is physically put into a car or taken to another place. But luring or soliciting children is not illegal. Brittany Williams says luring is still dangerous and wants people to be reprimanded.
Gave me a call and said that a gentleman
approached him and asked if he needed bait. And he said, no, I'm fine. And then he went somewhere else. Then about 5 minutes later, the gentleman came up again and said, if fish aren't biting here, we can go to Fort Moultrie. And he said, no. Well, at that time, he immediately called me and said he had this nervous feeling in his stomach, and I came right away to come and get him. And during that time, he said another boy was being approached too.
Williams says situations like this are the reason they will continue to support this bill becoming into law. Right now, the bill is waiting for consideration into the next session. And the former South Carolina attorney who pleaded guilty to state charges ranging from breach of trust, money laundering, and more is planning to appeal his prison sentence. Corey Fleming filed an appeal against his criminal conviction and sentencing on Thursday. Last week, a judge sentenced Fleming to 13 years based on multiple individual indictments. The charges stem from an accusation that he conspired with Alec Murdaugh to take money from a wrongful death settlement from the estate of Murdaugh's longtime housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. And the Ruth Patrick Science Education Center over at the University of South Carolina-Aiken held its 30th annual Seed STEM Festival. The event celebrated the innovations in the area of STEM. Student groups, regional corporations, government agencies, and national labs all came together to create and present engaging hands-on activities. Guests had the opportunity to make some paper, investigating weather, and virtually traveling through outer space. And today is the 30th annual National Public Lands Day, and to celebrate, the U.S. Army Corps held a cleanup day over at Clarks Hill Lake. Some projects include debris cleanup, brush clearing, and even building life jacket loaner stations.
We are building life jacket loaner stations. We currently have 24 beaches that don't have them. This provides a free life jacket to anyone that needs it, and probably if we ever have an accident on the lake, it is a drowning. And so this is our way of trying to prevent that.
Fenwick says National Public Lands Day is their biggest volunteer event of the year. Just 1 week before former President Jimmy Carter turns 99, he and his longtime wife, Rosalind Carter, got to drive through the Plains Peanut Festival. Carters have visited the Plains Peanut Festival before, which celebrates the presidential couple and the region's cash crop. Jimmy's parents owned a peanut farm outside Plains, and the peanut would become part of his political branding.
Well, overnight tonight we'll drop off into those upper 50s for the overnight low, so a cool start to our Sunday morning. Rain, though, is in the forecast, and I'll let you know when after the break.
And in California, a betting man might lose it all after lying about having cancer. We'll explain when News 12 at 11 continues next.
Get ready to raise your steins in the spirit of Oktoberfest, September 29th to the 30th. Join us for a fun-filled day of festivities that will delight both kids and adults alike. The Oktoberfest celebration is here with activities for guests of all ages. There's something for everyone. Games, keg rolling, a cornhole tournament, and even giant beer pong. Bring your thirst for fun and for beer. And let's celebrate the spirit of Oktoberfest together. September 29th to the 30th at Bath Gardens.
A California man is admitted to lying about having terminal cancer after receiving thousands in donations. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Robert Mercer created a GoFundMe to fulfill his dream. He hoped to play in a $10,000 buy-in, no-limit World Series poker tournament. Mercer claimed to have stage 4 colon cancer, but now the 37-year-old is admitting to lying. He also received $30,000 to $40,000 in donations through private transaction. Mercer says he has no intention of paying anyone back because he believes he has undiagnosed breast cancer and the donations were made because he was sick. Now, a fourth straight day of intense talks between striking Hollywood writers and the studios took place. While there are no guarantees, there does seem to be new optimism. Rick Montanez has the latest.
Industry insiders say progress is being made, but still no deal on the table. Yesterday's meeting went from 11 in the morning until after 8 in the evening without a deal reached. Variety is reporting the heads of Disney, NBC Universal, Warner Brothers Discovery, and Netflix showed up for those negotiations. It also says the bargaining on some topics is just getting down to working out legal language that both sides can agree upon. Striking writers and actors showed up in droves to the picket lines for a Friday show of force to the studios. Writers say they are feeling encouraged, especially after weeks without word of any progress from either side. You'll remember the specific issues on the table here for the strike include residual pay, staffing minimums, and protections against artificial intelligence.
And the longest writer strike was in 1988. If there is no deal reached, this strike has just over a week until that is met and possibly exceeded. And the United Auto Workers strike is continuing into the weekend with new locations joining in. As a walkout enters a second week, new locations that are striking include parts distribution centers in 38 General Motors and Stellantis sites across 20 states. The UAW president called for union members to strike at noon on Friday, even extending an invitation to President Joe Biden to join workers on the picket line. Union workers are seeking 40% increases in hourly pay, reduced 32-hour work week, a shift back to traditional pensions, and a restoration of cost of living adjustments. Coming up, thousands of people are without power as Tropical Storm Ophelia continues to sweep through the East Coast.
The fresh timers feeling good vibes. At Kroger, everyone's for everyone.
Thanks for watching News 12 on your side.
Ophelia, tonight, downgrading from a tropical storm to a tropical depression continues to bring heavy rain, storm surges, and strong winds up and down the East Coast this weekend. The storm made landfall near North Carolina Barrier Island this morning with 70-mile-per-hour winds. Around 100,000 people have lost power in North Carolina and Virginia.
Tropical Storm Ophelia caused severe flooding in the coastal town of Belhaven, North Carolina, Saturday morning. The storm downed trees and knocked out power to tens of thousands of customers, including in Richmond, Virginia.
The limb from my neighbor's house had broke from their tree. It had broke their power line from the pole to the house, and it snapped and pulled the pole over.
Tropical storm warnings were issued in several states, including Delaware, where the severe weather made for extremely rough surf. Heavy winds and intense rains here in Ocean City, Maryland is causing coastal flooding. As you can see along this residential waterfront property, the water down here is up to my ankles. Vacationers in Ocean City told us the storm was so powerful overnight, it woke them up.
The wind was pretty intense.
You could hear it coming against the window, and it was raining pretty good.
Along New York's South Shore, some residents chose to brave the elements.
Just out here enjoying it, and I miss summer.
As the storm makes its way further inland, forecasters say the main concern over the next couple of days will be the threat of floods. Stefan Dingle, CBS News, Ocean City, Maryland.
More than 4,000 flights in the U.S. were either delayed or canceled today, but here should stay mostly dry and sunny.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna have great weather. Not so great weather up there. I was trying to think of what I wanted to say about that, but yeah, that was Tropical Storm Ophelia. That went well north of us. We were expecting a little bit of cloud cover from that storm, but we didn't see any. We're not going to see any overnight tonight or even throughout the day tomorrow. So I know we have Ironman going on. It's going to be great weather for that. And today's the first day of fall, so happy fall, y'all. I was going to put the y'all on there, but then I decided not to, so I'm just going to say it. Anyways, we can expect some cooler nights and warmer afternoons, but then we could expect some rain come midweek. But let's take a look at what we're currently seeing. Temperatures in those middle 60s, dew points on the lower side, so feels great out there. Really a crisp evening, or overnight, I should say, for us. And again, this is what we're seeing in those dew points. Typically, overnight, we're in those 70s. It's a little bit muggier. Feels a little bit warmer out there for the overnight hours, but we are dry, expecting to stay dry overnight tonight, so conditions are going to be great starting off early in the morning for that marathon, or I think it's a triathlon. Probably need to make sure that I get that right, but anyways, not seeing any rain. And that's just some ground clutter that is picking up on, but overnight we'll drop off into those upper 50s, so cool start to the morning. Plenty of sunshine though. Throughout the day, we'll see high temperatures in those middle and possibly upper 80s in some spots. So definitely going to be a warm afternoon, but that's due to plenty of sunshine. So like I said, it's going to be a great afternoon, a little bit on the warmer side, but we're pretty used to it by this time. But some clouds will start to come in overnight Sunday and into the day Monday. But let's take a look what we can expect over the next couple of days. I mean, this is going to start as soon or as early as 8 a.m. That's where I have this map going through. But rainfall is in the forecast, but not for Monday, really not throughout the day Tuesday either. Now, once we get into Wednesday, for more of our southern and western counties, could expect some rainfall there, then becoming a little bit more widespread and even heavier rain throughout the morning and really even into the afternoon Thursday. So rain second half of the day Wednesday, throughout the greater part of the day Thursday, but overnight Thursday, we'll just expect some cloud cover, so things should be cleared up by Friday. Well, let's take a look at those rainfall totals. So again, I'm going to go slowly through Wednesday, seeing that rainfall really going for more of our southern and western counties there. By the time that we get to the end of Thursday and really through Friday, that's what we can expect, anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch. Some spots locally could see 2 inches there. So some rain in the forecast, but we still have a couple of days before that. It's going to be sunny conditions Sunday and Monday. A little bit of cloud cover coming into play Tuesday, and then again, Craig, those showers there. Things should be clearing out though by the overnight hours Thursday, leading us to another great weekend next week.
Great stuff for tomorrow's Ironman, and it's fall, y'all. Great stuff. But coming up in sports, Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks meet his former team on USC's home turf. Plus, Georgia looks to extend their win streak at home. That's all coming up next. As we head to break, here's a live look at Sacramento and your winning lotto numbers.
Thanks for watching News 12 on your side.
Wow. First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Lexus Acura Cadillac. On your sideline, sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
All right, South Carolina and Mississippi State find themselves in the same predicament. Both are looking for their first wins in the SEC. The Gamecocks held their own for a time last week. This week, against a different Bulldog, they try to end up on the right side of the scoreboard. This ended up being a high-scoring affair. It all started when Spencer Rattler connected with Leggett for a 76-yard touchdown. Rattler averaged 14 yards per pass. They doubled down just 7 seconds into the second quarter to make it 14-zip. It wasn't long before Mississippi State took a page out of Beamer's book. Makes sense because he used to coach there, and he met them at 14. Short-lived, though. DK Joyner takes it the short distance up the middle to break even. The Gamecocks narrowly escaped this one and pick up their first SEC win. Dan tells us how the other Bulldogs did.
The number 1 ranked and 2-time defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs were between the hedges for the 4th week in a row to start the season. Tonight's opponent, the UAB Blazers, who felt the wrath of the fans who were ready to explode from the opening kickoff. In the first quarter, the Dogs have been known to get off to a few slow starts this season, but that wasn't the case early on. Carson Beck connects with Arian Smith, who bursts through the defense and gets into the end zone for the score. Just like that, it's 7-0 Dogs. Later on in the quarter, Mekhi Muse is back to receive this punt for Georgia. He's been fantastic in this spot for the Dogs this season. UAB recovers the loose ball, and they went on to score shortly after that, tying the game at 7 points apiece. Let's get to the second quarter. The Dogs are needing to respond here, but what better way to do that than by getting the ball to your best player? Brock Bowers makes a couple of impressive moves along the sideline, helping his team get into the red zone. A couple of plays later, Kirby Smart calls on Deshaun Edwards, and he powers his way through the defensive line for a much-needed Bulldogs touchdown, putting Georgia back on top 14-7. On the Dogs' next possession, Beck finds Bowers on the outside. He hits the brakes, sending a couple of defenders to the ankle doctor, and he cruises down the sideline for another Bulldogs touchdown, extending their lead to 14. Despite scoring 28 points in the first half, it wasn't the cleanest half of football the Dogs have ever played, and they'll have a few things to clean up before continuing SEC play against Auburn next week in their first road game of the season. Reported from Sanford Stadium in Athens, Dan Booth on your side.
All right, Dan, thanks. In their past 7 meetings, the Seminoles have not won against the Tigers. That was until today. Florida rallied back from a 10-point deficit to meet the Tigers at 24. A Tigers field goal went wide left and pushed it into overtime. It was their first overtime game between the two since 2014. Kate Klubnik had one last shot to respond to Florida State's 24-yard touchdown. Klubnik sent just outside of reach of Bo Collins, and it ends the Seminoles' favor 31-24 there. Clemson is now 0-2 in the ACC play for the first time since 2010.
I think that's just kind of the mentality that we have, is every time we step on the field, we believe we're going to win. And we played our butt off, and we just got to learn how to finish.
It's going to be a tough one, but I feel like our guys, we have the right mindset, the right people, the right environment to, just learn from it. Watch the film on Sunday, watch the film a little bit more on Monday to get those corrections.
Also the end of a 25-game home streak against ACC opponents for Clemson. All right, here's a look at your scores. Georgia Southern cloned Georgia and put Ball State through the ringer. Georgia Tech gets an ACC win. Clemson doesn't. Neither does Emily's Bulldogs, but the other Bulldogs did.
Hey, honestly, I'm just happy that we got up to 30, honestly. I feel like that was a win for us. Anyways, another win for us here in the CSRA. Didn't see any rainfall today, and that's going to continue for the rest of our weekend. I'll have another look at your forecast after the break.
Ready? It's
Botox. Well, a great end to our weekend, or a great second half. I don't want to say an end to our weekend. Nobody wants weekend to end. Second half of our weekend looking great. Start to our work week. Sunny conditions. I don't know how I feel about those upper 80s, extreme upper 80s there. Maybe it'll be a couple degrees cooler than that, but then we'll be around average for our Tuesday. Some rain coming into play Wednesday and Thursday, and that's going to bring our temperatures down to roughly 80 degrees, and so that's about 6 degrees below average, Craig, so I don't think we're too upset about that. I mean, check out the overnight lows as well. Upper 50s, low 60s. Today's the first day of fall. Fall is here, and I'm excited.
Just love what you said earlier. It's fall, y'all. That's all in time here on News 12 at 11. I'm Craig Allison, but if you're waking up early, join Ashley Campbell and Chris Still at 6.